Hey guys, it's Amanda, and today I'm going to go very nerdy, all the way into science from like eighth grade. We're going to talk about electrons and protons and levels of shells and stuff, which may or may not be a blast from the past. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to tie it into holistic health. I know if you're like, what? It's like a magic trick. Like, and now I will pull this rabbit out of a hat. But really, I'm going to pull the rabbit out of the hat. Okay. So, I feel like my brain has been working on this for the past few hours. Like I woke up and usually in the morning I'll start, you know, doing administrative work just because it's the only time that I have quiet time in the morning. But my brain went in this different direction and I'm just going to kind of write it out, see what happens. And I hope it helps you guys. Okay. So let me start out with saying that I've been building this integrated health portal for the last few months. And pretty much what I'm trying to do with this health portal is I'm showing all of the different aspects of you. So you are not just your fitness goals, you are not just your financial goals, your lifestyle goals, like who you know, what you do. Like you're not just each of these pieces. All of these pieces are you. But they are all part of the larger person that is you, right? So as a personal trainer, I've started out with helping people try to get fit and then get really discouraged when I see these same people that are just like, yeah, I'm super motivated. I want to do all these things. It's going to be awesome. And then another piece of their life kind of gets thrown out of whack. Like they'll have like financial issues or marital issues. They'll have some type of like all of a sudden they look around and they realize like, where did all my friends go that I used to have? Didn't I have friends? Right? It's like all of a sudden you don't have any friends. You're like, how did this happen? Is this what being an adult is like? And it's like, no, no, no. You didn't have like you do have friends. It's just like you haven't worked on that piece of your life. So this integrated health portal is pretty much branching all of those pieces together that holistically make you and make you happy and purposeful in your life, and then improving all of them together to reach that next level. So that's important because of where I'm going with this next thing. I know that change is always hard, right? Like if you think of yourself, I'm just going to think of myself as like an atom, right? Like I am the nucleus in my own little atom, right? And so are you, right? There are different levels of atoms. I'm going to go ahead and so I'm not just geeking out. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And this is literally just Google, right? Okay. So atoms have levels. These different levels are called shells. And depending on how close you are to the atom is how strong that connection is to the atom. Okay. So this says like, let's pause that for a sec. Okay. So I think everyone will recognize this as an atom, right? So like, let's pretend this little green dot is you. Okay. And then each one of these rings is like a different level of your lifestyle. Okay. So as you get further and further out, the charge, the pull that specific thing has on the nucleus gets weaker. So anything that's in this innermost ring or innermost shell is going to have the strongest pull to the nucleus. Like there's no level outside of like, a scientist going in there and like splitting atoms, right? Like there's no level of something that's going to come in and be able to remove this innermost shell without first getting through these other shells. Okay. So the cool thing about this is if you look at this, right? So again, just going back to atoms, the farther the shell is from the nucleus, the larger it is, the more electrons it can hold, and the higher the energy of those electrons. The first shell, which is the closest to the nucleus, can hold 2 electrons. The second shell can hold 8. The third shell can hold 32 electrons. You're like, whoa, that's amazing, right? Like, cool, fun fact. Tell that to all your friends, right? Next trivia night, you're gonna kill it. Okay. Why am I talking about electrons? I'm not a scientist. I'm a personal trainer, right? Like, what's going on? You're like, you're a health and fitness coach. Like, what's going on here? Okay. So going back to our picture, right? This is you, right? Here you are. You are the green nucleus. Okay. On this second level, right? You can only have 2 things that you can focus on at the same time and have that same passion and drive, right? Like I think of this as like, okay, closest to me, the thing that like is the most valued for me is like my family and my business, right? Those 2 things I want to focus on so hard, right? If these 2 things don't work together, the whole thing falls apart, right? And also it depends on what these 2 most innermost, we're going to call them electrons, right? Or areas of interest are. It matters because if these 2 are not solid, the rest of it falls apart. Look at, you could have up to, what was it? I said 32 subjects. You could have like, think about having like 32 hobbies. Like 32 things that you're just like, like it's not gonna crush me if I don't do it. But it's kind of cool. Like, you know, if you're you like to crochet or you like to video game or go running or I don't know, play catch with your dog. Like anything, I'm just thinking of like anything, right? That can be like on your outermost level that like if all of a sudden if you can't knit, you know, or like can't crochet, you're like, oh, you know, I like didn't even really notice it, but like, yeah, like, I can come back to it, right? But take the same thing. I don't know why knitting came up. I'm trying to teach myself how to knit. It's going very slowly. But anyways, so if knitting is all the way in here, and this is like one of your 2 major things, you're like, out of everything in the world, knitting is my passion. It is the thing that I am the most passionate about, and it is the reason I am put here on earth, right? If you don't do knitting and it's this close to the nucleus, which is you, it is earth shattering if you do not do it, right? So like, I know it's kind of like a far-fetched type of like thing, but there are definitely like my aunt was a seamstress for years, right? She would probably have knitting on her more close to nucleus, close to home type of atom. She's a different type of atom. Also what I thought was cool, let's see. So, you know, I mentioned a little bit that this is actually that fitness portal that I was telling you about, but you guys, do you get to see a little bit? Oh, okay. Just a little bit. Okay. So, what's really cool about this is there are, obviously, we all know there's a periodic table. There are different atoms, right? So no matter what, you have the ability to have 2 electrons in this ring. You can have up to 8 in this one. You can have up to 18 in this one, up to 32 in the next one, right? However, let's go over here. Look at hydrogen and helium. Do they have all those other rings? Do they have 32 electrons and neutrons and protons floating around them? No, no, they do not. Look at one little nucleus, one little dude for hydrogen just floating around. Helium, 2 little dudes. Okay, cool. And 2 little dudes floating around those 2 little dudes. Do you feel like hydrogen and helium, if they were people, do you feel like they're missing out on the rest of life because they don't have 1,000 other or up to 32 different hobbies and things that they're focusing on? No. And you know what the cool thing about this is, like, hydrogen, like, you know, that bond is strong. Like Like that is a strong ass connection here, right? This whole thing came from me studying or trying to look up what the strongest connection, the smallest thing in the entire universe was, right? And then from there, what the strongest thing is in the entire universe, right? And so it comes down to this, right? These are atoms, right? We obviously now know that these are not the smallest things. So the smallest things are the things that make up these things, right? So it's quarks and it's like glucon or gluons or something, right? But I think everyone has heard of quarks. I just learned about gluons this morning, but there are two little teeny tiny things that you can't break down, right? At least not to our knowledge. I feel like we could probably break it down eventually, but maybe we just don't have the technology to do it right now. But this is also called, they call this the God particle, right? So quarks, you got gluons, and they're just kind of like holding each other together to make up protons and neutrons. Okay, that's how small they are, right? The cool thing about this is the thing that holds them together is called a what is it? A strong nuclear bond. Okay, it's like that's the whole word. It's a strong nuclear bond, right? I like that it described it as like unlike the weak nuclear bond. Like, oh, thank you. That's very helpful. But think of this, right? This is like the smallest, tiniest thing in the entire universe, right? The bond that holds those two things together in order to make a proton or an electron or a neutron is even stronger than gravity and electromagnetism, which are other things that are also like, recognized as being strong forces that act upon us, right? Amanda, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Why are you talking about science and quarks and atoms? Tie this back for me to fitness. Okay. Sorry. I went down a rabbit hole a little bit. Okay. I'm going to reel it back in. These quarks and gluons, it's funny that it's called gluons, are held together by this super strong force that is literally unbreakable. And the way that I'm going to tie this back into fitness and your health, right, is if you're this nucleus, right, you're this little thing that has all of these things orbiting around it, right? You are made up of these things, these tiny little quarks and gluons that are inexplicably held together and tied together by the strongest bond imaginable, right? For me, I feel that inextricably strong bond between two things that can't get separated is how you are going to be successful bringing yourself to the table to rise to that next level. Here's what I'm saying. If your mindset is shitty, right? If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think that you can lose those 15 pounds or those 20 pounds, right? Those little teeny tiny atoms that are on the inside of your, like you as the nucleus, right? You can fill in as many of those extra rings of electrons as possible, right? The thing that makes up the nucleus isn't going to match the things that are going on around the nucleus, right? To put this in a different way, Charles Haanel, I've been listening to him nonstop. He's like such a good, eloquent speaker. He's like pretty much the original Tony Robbins back from the 1920s, right? But I think he put a really good point of you can't plant carrots and expect to get apples, right? Like you can't plant negative thoughts and negative behaviors and expect to become successful, right? And I know this is kind of like, I'm an analogy person. I'm like trying to go around and like figure out a way to like show how important this is. And also like connections networking, like how you position yourself in life is literally like nature wide, right? Like what you are made up of is what influences what can go on around you, right? It's not what goes on around you and then it changes who you are at the nucleus level, right? It's the nucleus that affects the electrons and protons and things that are around it, right? So changing yourself and making sure that you are the nucleus you want to be, right? Do you want to be hydrogen or do you want to be helium, right? Do you want to have one thing that you're super focused on that's super important and passionate about? Or do you want to have two protons or two nucleus in the middle and then you can have two things going around on your closest level? Or do you want to be someone else? You could be like one of those other elements on the periodic table that have like 32 elements going on around, right? And like nothing's wrong with that. Just because you're hydrogen doesn't mean that helium's any better, right? It just means that you have different reasons to exist and you have different focuses and you bring something different to the table. That's it. If this resonates with you, I would absolutely love for you to try out this integrated health portal and to see how everything ties together, right? This portal mostly focuses on how to look at your branches, right? It's not just going to dive you in of like, who wants to lose weight in the next 30 days? Sign up here, right? It's like some like weird, like sleazy sales pitch. And you're like, ugh, why did I put money towards this, right? No. What it is doing is, let's say we're just putting you under the microscope, right? Little microscope side. Shoop. All right. Okay. This is what we have. All right. We're looking at we actually have I don't like all of the elements a periodic table are like escaping me right now. Like, oh, we have a helium atom. Okay, cool. Because you are helium, we're going to focus on this. Let's find your two big things that are the biggest focus in your life, which if you're helium, that should be easy, right? It's like, you don't really have 1,000 things that you're doing, right? Oh, you know what? Actually, you have okay, you're more of the type of particle and atom that has a whole bunch of stuff going on. Okay, let's keep that, right? We're not going to like, start trying to turn you into a hydrogen atom. Let's look at it and let's organize it. Let's figure out how we can get your fitness, how we can get your networking, how we can get your mindset and your faith and your family and your finances. Let's see how we can bridge them all together and have them rise up together versus that whole I really hated the whole lie of like the work-life balance, right? It's one, it's impossible, right? Like if anyone's ever balanced anything before, right? You realize one, it's very hard. Two, you're not gonna be able to do it for long, right? Like you can get, even if you get balanced, you're like, oh, guys, look, I'm balanced. Is anyone looking? And then all of a sudden, as you're trying to like make sure and show off that you're balanced, all of a sudden it's like, whoop, unbalanced. I could try out. Okay, right? So it's like if you're under this mindset that one has to be sacrificed for the other, you're already putting yourself in that scarcity mindset, which is like no bueno for self-growth. It's actually really fun that this book is right here. This book is pretty much the catalyst to my entire lifestyle right now. This book called Align Your Empire talks about the 6 areas of alignment, which I go over in the integrated health portal. And it's all about taking these 6 areas and using them to build each other up, right? So for example, let's say I'm a fitness person, right? I'm super passionate about staying fit and staying active and keeping my kids active, right? If I just focus on myself being active, it's a bad day, right? Like all of a sudden I'm just like, oh my God, I haven't eaten. Oh, I haven't fed the kids. I haven't done any work today. Like I haven't talked with any of my friends, right? So also like mindset wise, very anxious and depressed. And it's because my brain is just like, hey, you're you're avoiding everything else. But in my head, I'm like, oh, but I worked out. Like that's a sign of success. Therefore, I'm successful, right? But really, I'm only doing one of the 6 areas that I need to focus on, right? So if I can get my fitness to tie into any one of those other 5 areas, like workout with my kids on a video that I can post to my community so that other people can also benefit from like a mommy and me workout, right? They share that with their other people. Their other people get back to me and be like, oh my God, I love that you had this workout. It was amazing, right? I just made a new friend and all I did was do the thing that I was already going to do anyways, right? Maybe that person is like, oh my God, you have an amazing personality. I want to hang out with you more. Also, your knowledge is awesome. Okay, let's talk about weight loss or let's talk about XYZ, the thing that I want to learn about, right? So that ties into me taking care of my business, me taking care of my finances, and literally my mindset, right? My mindset is very heavily reliant on fitness and then my business. So like if my business is doing well, my mind is like, yeah, we're doing awesome. We're helping people. This is great. If my business is doing poorly, I'm just like, I am a waste of life and energy. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go to sleep, right? So just being cognizant of that facet of me, I'm way like more likely to be able to focus on, okay, you know what? No matter what, I got to do something for my business today. Okay, no matter what, I got to do something for my fitness today. I got to do something for my kids, right? And instead of me trying to like dive headfirst into one area of my life and be like, why isn't it working? I can take a step back, see collectively where it is that I'm lacking, and then fix it. And by fixing one thing, you can like, it's almost like a combination lock. You fix this one thing, it's like ding, 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 like, oh, these 3 other factors just fix themselves. That's all. Okay, let's what if I were fix this one? Ding. Okay. Oh, this one fix that one. That's cool. And then all of a sudden you like you don't even realize that you're living a better life and you're just like it's literally by default, right? Like you're just like looking around of like, "Huh. Well, that's cool." Like I look back, man, like even let's say like even 2 years ago, right? Where I just moved up to Washington. I just had my baby. And I was like, I don't know how I'm hustling. Like, I don't know how I'm going to, just trade my time for money. Right. And like, that's when I realized that my scarcity was time. I needed more time in the day. Right. And I was like, wait, what if, what if I put everything that is in my brain onto a website and then people can just go to the website and that will save a lot of time, right? And I can help more people. Like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So, anyways, I digress. I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking for 23 minutes. But I'm like, as you can tell, I'm like super passionate about this. I absolutely love making analogies and tying everything together. I'm like I'm an analyst at heart, and I love being able to help people help themselves. That's really what it comes down to, right? So if this resonated with you, I would absolutely love for you to apply to try our integrated mindset portal and just kind of poke around, see what you like. I guarantee you're going to love it. And I would say I have spent at least, I kid you not, $50,000 in acquiring this knowledge, right? And that's just through mentoring, different like subscription books, like time and energy and certifications and all that stuff. Like I have spent quite a bit of money accumulating this knowledge into one space. And I would just love for you guys to check it out. So if this is interesting to you, I think it's really interesting. Go ahead and I'm going to leave a link to apply for getting into this program. We're only going to accept about 10 people at this time. And then we're going to do a 6-month integration type of thing where you're going to do like weekly coaching. You're going to have meetings with the other community of the other 9 people because 1 plus 9 is 10, right? And we're going to be able to like come together. We're going to talk. We're going to like focus on the different areas, make sure that we're actually doing it, right? How many people have been like, oh my God, this is the new journal. I'm so excited. Oh, that's neat. Okay, well, that's cool. And then you never touch it again, right? I have so many books that are just sitting in my bookshelf that I'm like, yeah, that's a good book to have. Oh yeah, that looks amazing on my bookshelf. Yes. Oh, so what's that book about? Oh, I have no idea. I haven't read it yet, right? Like, we're not doing that. We're gonna never put that book away. We're gonna keep it out. We're gonna talk about it all the time. We're gonna force each other to grow the way that we're supposed to be, and it's gonna be amazing. And you're gonna be a completely different person in the next 6 months. So let's share this with everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.